I've been noticing that when I am in the moment, I accept certain behaviors from other people, but then later realize that I was allowing my boundaries to be crossed. This happens especially at work, where I say yes to things and only later I realize I wanted to say no. Do you have any suggestions for how to stay within my boundaries in the moment without using overthinking? Hey Maria, thanks for the question. That's such a sweet question. Yeah, it's a train. You've got to train the body. Um, yeah, so it's like blissing out into this consciousness, but training the body to respond, because boundaries aren't a given for everyone, and waking up doesn't give you suddenly boundaries. It's all dependent on how you're brought up. If you're brought up to be more compliant or less compliant. So it's a training. That's an exercise like working out a muscle. So Ramesh used to say, in every given moment, do exactly what you feel like doing, which is beautiful. But in that, you have to train your body to be less compliant, I suppose. So in a way, Ramesh would say, like if saying yes to your colleague happens, that's exactly what you wanted to do in that moment, which is true. Like in that moment, there was a yes that appeared, so that's what you wanted to do. But then later, you realize that it was too passive. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So the way that you retrain your body is through contemplation of behaviors. So firstly, a contemplation of the way that your parents taught you to respond to making choices, doing things, and pleasing other people. And then bringing that more into consciousness when you do behaviors, but without overthinking, like you say. So it's just through time, it will be retrained. You have to watch. So in certain situations, I can be too flexible. And so the body mind can be too flexible. And it's not actually healthy in the end to be too flexible. And that's through training, and it's very specific to certain people and situations. So there has to be a recognition of that, recognizing when I'm crossing the boundaries, recognizing when I'm being too pleasing, and contemplating of that, contemplating where it comes from, feeling it in the body. And then this will begin to reprogram your body. But it's a very gentle thing, and it's something that will happen more through time as you get used to it. Because what happens to me with certain people, like, I can't really mention it because I've got to keep people's privacy, but like a relative, is that I love them so much and I want them to be happy, that feeling is so organic from my body and feels really beautiful and feels really loving. But in order for them to be happy in the human world, on their pleasure and pain spectrum, sometimes they require too many things that's unfair to ask the other person to do. But in the moment, like, I feel so much love for them, then I can get into doing all these things. And it's not necessarily people pleasing, it's that my focus is on that. It's on loving them. And so I have to retrain my focus onto another part of me, which is there, but it's smaller. You can feel it less, it's in the background more, which it knows what it's capable of and not capable of. So, for example, recently they wanted to come on a road trip with me to meet a friend, but my trip was quite quick, and I knew if they came, I would end up being exhausted. It would be too much interaction, you know, seeing the friend, having them, having their energies. But in the moment, there was wanting to like love them and show them love, and like just like a focus on them, and there's like a yeah that wants to come out. But then in the background, there's a knowing that that will exhaust me. And it's more putting more attention on that. And that really that is the most loving answer. Because they don't want to exhaust me. I'm better for them if I'm not exhausted. But it's less trained. What's been more trained is that other feeling on top, or that other feeling. There's been more focus on that, because of course we want to give to the other person and make the other person happy. That's not necessarily seeking. It can go into seeking, but yeah, that's our natural response as human. We actually are givers in a way. Like, we want to get on as a community. We want to love each other. We want the other to feel loved. That's so beautiful. But it's just there's been too much a focus on that. So it's a training, recognizing it. So in that moment, there was like a wanting to say yes. And then there was this other smaller part that was hidden that realized it's got to come more forward. And that will come more forward the more you focus on it. Like anything in the 68th sense, if you're focused on the color blue, everything, you'll see blue everywhere. If you focus on boundaries, then the boundaries will come more present. It's beautiful. Yeah, nice. Thank you so much for the question, Maria.